Hello, Profit Hackers. I'm Jeremy Lott, the Chief Visionary for Foundation Accounting and Consulting. I owned a construction company for about 15 years before making a change to accounting because my accountants sucked. My goals are to simplify accounting for construction company owners, fuel your profits, level up your cash flow, and help you grow in a financially responsible way. So let's go. Hello, Profit Hackers, and welcome back to the Contractors Cash Flow Hacks podcast. And today we are going to do something very exciting. We're going to take all the things we've been talking about and we're going to put them all together to see how we can reach our goals, right? And of course, the goal is money in your pocket. All right. So first of all, I want to talk a little bit about being a contractor, right? I was a contractor for 15 years. And if you've listened to previous podcasts, you've heard my story and what happened with me on my journey as a contractor. But being a contractor is not really a profession. It isn't. It's a lifestyle. If you want to be a good contractor, you have to kind of learn the lifestyle and adapt the lifestyle rather than just being a contractor and going through the contractor moves, right? Well, the same thing is true for wrestlers. My whole life growing up and into college, I wrestled. I was a wrestler, right? In high school, I played football, I played soccer, but I was a wrestler, right? And hopefully that makes sense to you, just like with the contractor. There is a lifestyle and a mentality that you have to adapt to be a good wrestler, right? So a lot of people come in and wrestle. Typically, they don't stick. So you have to really adapt that lifestyle just like you do as a contractor, right? Well, I want to talk about one of my college matches. It was my freshman year. I was a true freshman, and they changed coaches my freshman year. So it was a brand new coach my freshman year. And they hadn't been able to do any recruiting. So I'd been reaching out to the college for quite a while, but hadn't heard anything back. Well, I made a decision to go to that college and then try to walk on. So I went into the office before the season of the coach and had a conversation with him, and he recognized me. So I was super excited about that. And he said, yeah, please do come on because I haven't recruited anybody. So you'll be one of the few freshmen that are actually on the team. Well, I worked really hard and I became a starter really early on in the season. So I was able to be a starter for most of the year and get a lot of great wrestling matches in as a college athlete, true freshman. Got to the end of the year and we were wrestling at conference. And I ended up losing in the semifinals. I was cheated. I know everybody says that, but I'll just leave that be and move on. But I lost in the semifinals. So I wrestled my way all the way back to the consolation finals, which was for third and fourth place, right? And I was wrestling a guy from Air Force Academy. And this guy was huge. I have no idea how he was the same weight as me, but he was huge, all kinds of muscles, and he really liked doing throws and tie-ups and all that kind of stuff, which never really was my jam. I'm not going to go down that direction, but anyway, we were wrestling and I was beating him, and I was ahead by 1 point, and there were like 20 seconds left or something like that, right? We go back to the middle and start over. We're on our feet and we're wrestling and going on, and the seconds are ticking down off the clock. Well, every wrestler knows that when it is short time and you are ahead, if you are the aggressor, there's a much more likely chance that they're going to be able to do something to score points against you. So all the good wrestlers, when they're ahead and it's short time, they take off their wrestling shoes and they put on their track shoes and they start to run, right? Well, in order to keep this fair, you can get called for stalling. And the way that works is that if one person is obviously the aggressor and the other person is backing up and avoiding contact, then that person gets a caution, right? Go back to the center, you start over again, and then start wrestling. If that person receives a second caution, then the other guy gets a point. Well, for whatever reason, I was unaware with like 13 seconds left that I had already received a caution for stalling. I never heard him call it out, right? Well, I'm backing up with like 13 seconds left and just running away from this guy, trying to get through those last 13 seconds. And the clock ticks all the way down to 7 seconds. There's only 7 seconds left in the match. And the ref calls a caution for stalling, and the other guy gets a point. So now there's 7 seconds left in this match. And if I don't do something in these last 7 seconds, we're going to go into overtime, right? And I'd done pretty well against him, so I probably would have won in overtime, but I didn't want to have to go that route, right? So there was this move that I had been practicing. It was a throw. It was upper body. There was this move. It was called the Japanese Wizard. And it was a lower percentage move, meaning that it was harder to be able to hit the move. But if you do, it's really cool. Well, this guy had been digging in with his arms under my armpits at the start of every match, and I knew he was going to do that right from the get-go. So it just kind of flashed in my mind, this move did. And he came in, and he started pummeling in to get his arm under my arm, and I tightened up on it, and I hit this Japanese Wizard. And his feet flew up in the air, and he came around and landed flat on his back with me on top, and I got a takedown, and I actually got near fall, a couple of points of near fall before the match was ended. So I ended up winning by 4 points, right? Well, the reason that I bring that up is because you need to do what you need to do in order to win. As I mentioned earlier, stalling is a big part of wrestling. If you overexpose yourself or if you are too aggressive, then you put yourself in trouble, right? So you have to be very controlled about what you're doing, and you have to follow the game plan and do what you have to do in order to win the match, right? Well, the same is true for a business. You have to do what you have to do in order to win, in order to put money in your pocket at the end of the day, right? So we need to know and be able to define our plan of attack, just like I came up with that move that I'd been practicing for months on end. I came up with that move. It popped in my head right at that last second. We have to plan in advance and know our numbers well enough that we can know what our goals have to be in order to hit our profit goals and be able to know how much money we can put in our own pocket, right? So that's where the gross profit margin comes in. Gross profit margin can be looked at as a rate, meaning how fast you're going, right? So if I were to tell you that I was traveling 50 miles per hour and I wanted to go 100 miles, you would simply take the 100 miles and divide it by the rate of 50 miles per hour. And that would tell you that you can reach that destination in 2 hours. Well, the opposite is true as well. If I tell you that I want to go 25 miles and I'm still traveling at 50 miles per hour, I do the exact same thing. I take that distance of 25 miles and I divide it by my rate of 50 miles per hour. And that tells me that I will reach that destination in half an hour. The gross profit margin works the exact same way. It is our rate. It is a percentage that tells us how many cents of every dollar of revenue we can put toward the hill to get over that hill, right? So if we know what our gross profit margin is and we know the size of our hill, the hill is like how many miles we want to go, and the gross profit margin is like our speed limit. And so we take the total amount of the hill and we divide it by that gross profit margin. And the end result is a revenue number. It tells us what our revenue has to be, what our sales target has to be in order to break even for the year. That's how you put all of this together, right? So there are some additional things we can do. If we want to redefine the hill a little bit and we want to have a target profit of, say, $100,000 for the year, what we do is we take that $100,000 and we add it to the hill. So our hill is $100,000 higher now. And then we can use the exact same process of taking our total new hill size, dividing it by our gross profit margin, and it will tell us what our revenue has to be, what our sales goal has to be in order to be able to put $100,000 profit in your pocket. We also use this same model for determining when to hire people and when to buy equipment and when to be able to grow and expand by making other purchases. We just simply add those amounts to the hill, divide it by the gross profit margin, and then that tells us what our sales goal has to be in order to be able to cover the cost of those additional pieces of equipment or vehicles or office staff, any of those kind of things, right? So rather than just getting a gut feeling when it's time to hire, we can use numbers and help us to make better business decisions on when to grow and when to hire and how to accomplish all of that, right? So that is a little bit about how we can use everything that we've learned so far with our on the truck costs, our gross profit margin, the hill and defining that hill, and then getting over that hill to find our break even or to find our goal for a certain amount of profit or to find our sales goal for a certain, being able to add a certain piece of equipment or vehicle or person to our company, right? So thank you very much. And in our next video, we are going to talk a little bit more about our bidding process and how we go about figuring out how much to charge the client, and how we can really take control of our gross profit margin so we can say, this is what our gross profit margin is going to be, rather than just doing the math and seeing how it falls out as our gross profit margin, right? We want to be able to control that number. So again, thank you very much for listening. Like and comment below, and I will talk to you again at our next episode. Thanks for listening. If you found this episode helpful, please like and subscribe for weekly episodes to help you fuel your profit, level up your cash flow, and finance your growth. Until next time, go enjoy some green M&Ms and protect that cash.